brush that ensures every stroke is purposeful and meaningful. Theodore Johnson. Distinguished dignitaries and respected participants. A warm evening to all of you. Myself, Dr. Geetu Anna Matthew, Faculty, Department of Management, Kristu Jayanti College, and I deem it a privilege to be your host for Session 4, Diversity and Inclusion in Pedagogy of FDP on Contemporary Trends in Commerce and Management, Teaching and Research, organized by CHIRD. Before we commence today's session, let us seek the presence and blessings of Lord Almighty. Let's start the session with a moment of silent prayer. I take this opportunity to welcome each and every one of you to the Faculty Development Program on Contemporary Trends in Commerce and Management, Teaching and Research, organized by a Consortium of Higher Education Institutions for Research and Development. Today, we are honored to welcome Dr. C. Gomathi, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce at PSGR Krishnammal College for Women, Coimbatore, esteemed expert in teaching and research, who will be leading our session. It's with great pleasure that I introduce the distinguished speaker for the day. Dr. Gomathi's journey in academia has been illustrious, marked by significant contributions to education and research. With a rich education background, including a PhD from PSGR Krishnammal College for Women, her expertise and dedication have greatly benefited the academic community. Her tenure as head of the Department of BCom for several years exemplifies her leadership and commitment to fostering excellence in education. Dr. Gomathi's contributions extend beyond teaching, as evidenced by her role as Consumer Club Coordinator and ISO Coordinator of the college, where she has demonstrated outstanding organizational skills. In the realm of research, Dr. Gomathi has excelled, leading various projects focusing on critical issues such as personal hygiene among school children and the adoption of AI-based educational technologies. Her efforts have resulted in numerous publications and presentations, contributing significantly to the body of knowledge in her field. Dr. Gomathi's dedication to education goes beyond the classroom, as she has actively engaged with students and fellow educators through workshops, seminars, and guest lectures. Her impact extends to the broader academic community, where she has served as a resource person in various institutions. Recognized for her outstanding contributions, Dr. Gomathi has received accolades such as the Best Teacher Award from Lions Club Coimbatore and recognition for her role as a Best Consumer Club Coordinator. Ma'am, I now request you to kindly take over the session.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your warm introduction.
You're welcome.
I take this opportunity to thank the college, our college, and also the Kristu Jayanti College for providing me an opportunity to be there here as a resource person. And before I start this session, let me just give you a disclaimer to all the faculty in the group, in the meeting. As the topic pedagogy, what I'm going to talk today may not be new to all of you. Maybe many institutions would have already started. And what I'm going to share is from my personal experience. And also maybe I could give some little input on this particular topic. So before I go for what is pedagogy, I just wanted all of you to just see the next slide. We have the students, the classrooms, which is filled with a lot of students. So maybe in our college or even in other colleges, wherever you are, you will have different needs of the students. The students will come from different educational background, maybe from government school, or maybe from Tamil medium school, or maybe some other states if it from their own mother language, or maybe from different areas, villages, etc. They have different attention span and interest as well. Some might be interested in sports, or maybe some might be interested in dancing. Beyond that, they all have come to a same classroom. And some students might also have some different language abilities. And of course, the entire class of 60, there'll be some different cultural backgrounds. So we have in a classroom kind of all these students. Let me just ask you all of you one question. Are we just considering all these aspects when we just teach students? Can I have this answer, few answers in the chat box? I'll be happy to see. Are we just considering all these categories? That means they have the different needs, they are from different educational background, they have different attention span and interest, they are from different language abilities, and they are from different cultural backgrounds. If you just go to a class as a teacher in the first class or maybe in the 4 or 5 classes, do you see all these differences? Maybe one or two can answer. Hope I'm audible.
Yes, we do see the difference.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your response. So,
Yes, ma'am.
how do you find out? How do you find all these differences, ma'am? Do you talk in personally to the students? Geeta, Anna, ma'am, you have said yes. We just find out by interactions. Very good. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the
Interaction,
answer.
observation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your response. So we just, to a certain extent, I do agree by observation or by maybe having interaction, we just identify the different needs of the students to a certain extent. But can I have the next slide? Majority of the times, as including me, we are all textbook oriented. We emphasize on completion of the syllabus as because, we are given maybe for a subject 75 hours, wherein we are in a position to complete all the 5 units within the stipulated time. Though we observe the students, though we interact with the students, but mainly we focus on completion of the syllabus. Majority of us use chalk and tuck method, and it is completely teacher directed classroom processes. We just stand in center of the class and we just talk about the subjects, mainly subjects, and rarely talk about the other concepts. And we just say, go for the lecture method, use chalk and tuck method, and then proceed with that. That is how we generally do. And of course, that cannot be blamed as because we have to complete the syllabus. If the portions are not completed on time, we will also be into trouble. Student might give some feedback as to the portions are not completed. So we also have that kind of problem. So to avoid all those things, we are always focusing towards completion of syllabus. But what the student is doing, can I have the next slide now? The students, as because we are textbook oriented, we emphasize on completion of the syllabus. The students go for rote learning. They focus only on testing and marks. They disengage and achieve below their potential. So they are completely towards getting marks. So that is their main focus. They just do rote learning. So ultimately, at the end of the grade, will be given rank. Mainly, the first factor which is being taken into consideration is mark. So we just focus only towards that. The students also focus in getting more marks. They don't bother about the understanding. They only focus on rote learning. So all these are the problems what we just face in every day of our classrooms. Then comes the role of pedagogy. Can I have the next slide, ma'am? So to avoid all these problems, we just have this outcome-based education. We have been talking about all those things. And because of that, we also started to talk about the pedagogy. Pedagogy, we all know that it is a method of teaching in which teachers teach both in theory and in practice. Pedagogy, maybe majority of you know as to, it is just advising or just guiding a child. That is how the name has come as pedagogy. So in terms of our collegiate education, we just use a lot of methods wherein we teach, either it is theory or in practice. But the main aim of pedagogy is to build on previous learning of the students and work on the development of skills and attitude of the learner. So I just wanted to emphasize here the attitude of the learners. So we always say that we just develop the skills of the students. We just provide a lot of skills. We just take them to the lab. We just teach them in the classroom. we just take them to the lab by just giving skills, but should not be stopped with that. We should also focus on.
For what? So you can be.
Am I audible?
Yes,
There
ma'am.
is
Yes, ma'am. Go
disturbance?
ahead, ma'am.
Yes.
No, no.
So mainly we have to, we are just focusing on skills. We are just focusing on just teaching either the theory, but we also should focus on the attitude of the learners. Attitude is a very, very important component. Say yesterday I was just attending a class. I was just attending an FDP wherein the professor took class for 1 hour about attitude. So how an attitude should be, a positive attitude, how is going to make an impact in the society. So let me just ask you a question as to all these years, maybe all the faculty in this group are well experienced. You all have more knowledge than me. So just answer, maybe one of you can answer to my question as to any one of you have just someone said that any one student on all these years have someone said that you just made an impact in my life. Can I get an answer? Particularly, they just came and told you maybe after 3 years of graduation or maybe after 10 years. Did anybody come and say that you have just made a difference in my life? Right. So I just wanted to emphasize on that particular point as to what sort of attitude we are just going to build on the students. The attitude should be good. Yes, thank you, Nagatiba ma'am, for your answer. But not now after 5 years. Yeah. After they become something good in their career, or maybe they could become an entrepreneur. So if they just come and say, we feel very happy. So that sort of attitude should be created. That is what actually should be followed in pedagogy. That is what we are just talking about, pedagogy. So the main aim of pedagogy is to build on previous learning of the students and work on the development of skills and attitude. That means a positive attitude of the learners. Can I have the next slide now? So in general, in a nutshell, when I just say pedagogy means the teacher can integrate different innovative teaching strategies, techniques, ICT tools, decision-making tools, etc. into their teaching, design and implement different modes of learning process through alternative delivery system for courses. So the different courses, we use different methods. When nowadays, when we just talk about this pedagogy, people immediately think that using of ICT only will be the usage of pedagogy. It is not like that. It doesn't mean that you have to use only ICT tools. Even if you make some decision-making tools or use some different innovative teaching strategies, somehow it has to reach the students. It has to reach each and every one in a student in the classroom. As because they are from different cultural backgrounds, different schools, different villages, different areas, they're totally different. Each one is unique. How are we going to reach them individually? That is what very, very important. That can be done with the help of pedagogy. So pedagogy will integrate the innovative teaching strategies, and not only innovating teaching strategies, even a simple method of teaching strategy, it just kindles or it just stimulates the learning among the students. We can say that that is a good pedagogy, what can be adopted. So when I just say pedagogy, it revolves around innovative instructional strategies, use of advanced technology, effective teaching learning process, enriched curriculum. Everything should be combined together, make the pedagogy in a better way. Can I have next slide? So why we just talk about this pedagogy? It strengthens student motivation. It just promotes discovery or active learning, the better understanding. It is for special as well as for all kinds of learners, for coping with fast changing and volatile environment, the scientific study of teaching process, to aware about the various new teaching methods, and for self-directed learning. For it is not only that we just always teach the students all these concepts, etc. It also leads to self-directed learning. So I just would like to play a small game in this, though it is oral classes like online class, online session. I just wanted all of you to have a small play. Can we just do that, ma'am?
Sure, ma'am.
Yes. So assume that I'm just giving you 6 small sticks. I'm just giving you 6 small sticks. I've just handed over 6 small sticks to each one of you in this forum. I just wanted all of you to, maybe you can draw or you can just do something, some triangles, and tell me with the help of 6 sticks, how many triangles you can make. I just tell you again, I'm giving you 6 small stick. So with the help of that, you can just try and tell me how many triangles you can frame. I will just give you 1 minute time. You can use your intellectual to give me the answer. Three, 8, any other answer? 6, 3, 6, more than 10. That's good, ma'am. Carolina, ma'am, thank you. Any other answer? We can actually draw 16 triangle. So we can just check in the internet as to how it is possible to have, by just arranging and by just considering the 3 angles, we can just try to find out 16 triangles with the help of that. So these sort of small games or these sort of small activities in the classroom, this is also one of the ways in which, one of the teaching methods in which we can just kindle or we can just stimulate the creative thinking of the students. So this is one example what I'm telling, like that you can just think about a lot. Maybe you are using well-versed or advanced technologies in the classroom, but we can just start from very basic, wherein we can just make or we will just be made aware of all these critical thinking even with the student who is from a very low background. So he or she will be very happy if she is able to give the answer to all sorts of questions. So that can make the students involved in even further activities. It is not that when we talk about this pedagogy, it is brainstorming or it is kind of Mentimeter what we use. Not like that. It is also being used. But even a small sort of games, like what I did it now, can just make or stimulate the students' critical thinking, which will lead to further involvement of the students in the classroom. So this can make them understand more. This can promote a kind of discovery or active learning in the students. So immediately when I just ask the questions, all of you just tried something. So even if you don't get the answer, the students don't get the answer, trying it out will be a better understanding. So they may think if they don't get the answer, they may just analyze as to why I'm not getting the answer. So how it is possible to find out the answers? This is go beyond the level and then they think. That will make them to further think about it in the advanced subjects. Can I have the next slide, ma'am? Now comes the concept of inclusion of pedagogy. So this is the principle, one of the principles of pedagogy. Inclusion, when I say the pedagogic concept promotes an inclusive learning environment that benefit all students in the classroom. Rather than the educator teaching a class, the method focuses on each child as an individual and they teach each student to understand the subject matter. It ensures that everyone has access to quality education regardless of their learning speed and background. Let me just quote you an example for this inclusion. So maybe just think that you're just going to do an activity where there going to be a kind of sports activity. Suppose say if all the students are being taken to the ground and we just engaging all the students by playing some games. Think about a student who is in the wheelchair. So what are we going to do? We have to do the student activity, but even a student who is in the wheelchair may be in a position to do that particular activity. So that sort of pedagogy is what we have to adopt to get all the children involved in the activities. So the pedagogy maybe that can promote an inclusive learning environment that benefit all the students in the classroom. So we should not simply be teaching as to we just we have to teach each child as an individual, and we have to teach each student to understand the subject matter. Of course, it is very difficult for us to do this process, as because finding or just identifying the interest of each student in the classroom is not at all possible for 1 or 2 days or maybe for a week. But when we involve ourselves in identifying the needs of each student, then we can also identify the problems of the students. And again, I'm just insisting on one more point, just getting the problems of the student. I don't want all of you to just get in deeper into the student's personal life. That is not the case what I'm trying to say. It is that we just try to get, if the suppose student has any problem, we have to create an environment. We have just create an environment wherein the student has to come and give us or share the problems with them so that we can just give them a solution. And by just adopting a pedagogy, we must ensure that all the students are involved in understanding the concept. So that is how the inclusion pedagogy is actually comes into a picture. And this is the first principle what has to be adopted in terms of pedagogy. Can I have the next slide, ma'am? So how are you going to implement this inclusive pedagogy in the classroom? First, we have to create a safe learning environment. I've just seen few faculty members who are actually very rude to the students. For example, suppose if there is any maths teacher, please forgive me. If a maths teacher is very rude or may not be in approachable situation, the students gets a doubt in the classroom. He or she may not be in a position to clarify the doubts. So in my classroom, I used to be a little closer with the students as because I generally take a lot of accounting papers. So accounting papers, each and every concept has to reach all the students. So after teaching, I just go to the individual students' place, check their note, whether they've understood the concept. I randomly ask questions and then find out if they are not able to understand the concept, then I just teach them personally as well. So that will make the students, each and every student, to understand. So we should not be too rude to the student. We have to create an environment where the student must be in a position to clarify their doubts. So we have to adopt a technology or maybe a pedagogy where that is possible for the student. So that is what we talk about, this inclusive pedagogy. We have to create a safe learning environment. Safe in the sense, it is not that it has to be so secured. I'm just telling in the way that the student must be in a position to approach us. That should be the way in which we just treat the students. Second thing where we can implement the inclusive pedagogy is diversify learning material. In the sense, maybe if you're just talking about some war, say for example, World War I. So when we just give the material that is created to just favor one particular country. Suppose if you're just providing a material in that aspect, that may not be correct. So we have to provide the learning material which can actually justify all the countries which are involved in the war. So that will enable the students to understand as to the different perspective. Now, generally, what we do in the classroom, we just after teaching, we just give one particular book or just give one reference book, and the students will study only from that particular book, giving just one view of the one particular author for the concept. But that should not be the case, which should be happening in inclusive pedagogy. We have to give at least 4 or 5 books in different perspective with regard to that particular concept. So that will make the students to understand the concept in different perspective. Say, for example, if a book is written by US, then for that particular war, they will be giving all favoring points related to US government. Maybe if it is written in, say, China, maybe all the favoring points related to that particular country will be written in the book. That will not be the references what we are giving to the students. So we just give 4 or 5 books as a reference or some additional materials wherein one concept they have to understand from different perspective. That is how we have to provide material to the students. So that will engage all the students in the classroom, and they will also have an idea in the different perspective. The third point, what should be considered for implementing inclusive pedagogy, will be taking into account students' needs, which means we always conduct the exams, written exams. No, always in our college, whenever we have any kind of FDP, we just have a debate as to whether it is always an exam which is to be written. And some of the senior professors, they say that, why can't we go for oral exam? And we, of course, we have to have all the university norms, rules and regulations, etc. But maybe if not the final exam, in certain cases, we can just think about the needs of the students. Suppose a student, many students, they may not be good in written. They may be very good in oral. They may be in a position to say their points orally well. But rather, when you just ask them to write, they may not write well, or they may hesitate to write. They may not know as to how to write the points. So here also we have to consider the students' view. Suppose if there are students, say around 10 to 15% of the students in the classroom, we are those who are very good in oral communication, maybe the exams be conducted only for them in the oral way. So this is an example what I'm giving you. You can just think about it. Of course, it is all the decisions to be taken at the top level. But if not for the main exams, but even the small exams in the classrooms, a small test, we can just set up these sort of practices. So what they need, what is it they are good at? This is all these, I'm just giving us one of the examples for each case. But you can think about it as a teacher. You can think about different pedagogical ways in which all the students can be involved and all the students get or knowledge in all the contexts, whatever we're just teaching them. So that is how it has to be considered. And next one will be make it easy for all the students to participate. Like maybe we can just adopt a Mentimeter, or maybe we can go for some quizzes with the help of the app. If suppose a student is not good at using devices, we can just think about something where all the students are involved. So every student in the classroom has to participate in all the things, whatever we are doing. Maybe it is a kind of an exam, or maybe it is a kind of a quiz or an assignment what we are giving. Generally, what we say for an assignment, we just give one or two topics and then ask all the students to write. Instead, we can also ask the students as to what sort of assignment you would like to write. So that might be a question we can just pose to the students, and according to their needs, we can also give them an assignment related to our topic, our subject. So that can also be done. And mainly, we have to develop a good rapport with each student. In one of the classes, what we just had as an FTP, one of the professors, he is very unique. Before he comes to class, whether it is the regular classes or wherever he goes as a guest lecturer, before he comes to the class, he will identify each and every participant. He will just know about each and every participant, either through the organizers or through some source. And when he comes to the class, he will just write some points, and near to that, he will write one of the participants' name next to the point what he is trying to say. Like that, he will try to connect all the points, whatever he wanted to convey, with all the participants in the classroom. So that will make all the participants to get involved. As to maybe when he writes the next point, every one of us will ask as to whether it is going to be our name, whether this point is going to be connected with our own character, how is going to, for whatever maybe the subject he is teaching. It is not that can be done only for a specific subject. If he is given a topic about literature, he will just connect it with all the points. If he is given a topic about physics or chemistry, he will connect it with all the points. So that is how it teaches. Of course, it is not possible even for me, but if that is where we adopt a sort of technology or pedagogy, then that will make all the students to get them involved in the classroom. So that is how we can just make this inclusive pedagogy happening in the classroom. Can we just have the next point, next slide now? So why do we need this benefits? By having inclusive pedagogy, we can improve students' self-confidence. So as I told you, if for this triangle, asking you to make some triangles, that if suppose a student, particular student is able to make out it, he will get a self-confident, oh, we are also in a position to think. And that will make them to think, create a kind of self-confidence among the students. So if a particular, say maybe in a in a class, 30 students are able to find out the answer, 30 students are not able to find out the answer. Again, give some other test, use some other pedagogy wherein even the remaining students can also be involved. So that will make the self-confidence and that will boost the participant level. So by doing this, all the students will be trying to be involved in the game, involved in the classrooms. So through that, we can inculcate a kind of habit among the students to just expect our class as to when the faculty will come and when the subjects will be handled. That sort of expectation may be created among the students. So that will improve the students' understanding of the subject. So why that particular game is given? To make them understand. That has to be connected with the concept. So in their lifetime, they will never forget this particular concept and they will never forget even to write it in the exam. So the comprehension level of the students will be increasing and their attitude towards the school and education, to school or college, will be totally be revamped. So they would like to come to classes, they would like to engage themselves in the classes, and by that way we can make all the students engaged in the classroom. So these are the benefits that can be achieved with the help of inclusive pedagogy. Can I have the next slide? And all those things, what I was talking about is the principles of, one of the principles or the first principles of pedagogy. The second principle will be problem solving assessment. So this sort of, as the name says, problem solving assessment, this will require an educator to ensure that students understand their courses and can apply them to solve the problem. The only way to ensure that students truly understand the subject enough to solve is to create assessment that demonstrate how well the students understand the subject. So through by assessing, maybe we have different types of assessment, like we have the classroom participation, as we assess the students as to how do they engage themselves in the classroom, whether they are active, and by just giving a seminar, by just making them writing some assignments, some innovative assignments. By doing all those things, we just assess the students. So by assessing that, we demonstrate as to how well the students can understand the subjects. And consistency and transparency also plays an important role for inclusive pedagogy. So the learning experience must be holistic for the students to understand and apply the knowledge gained from their classes. So this is why teachers break down the subject into small units and teach students in bits and pieces. Of course, in a single class, we cannot teach the entire concept. So consistently and by just adopting a transparent method, we can make the students understand the concept. You know, we, the teachers, always makes a lot of bits. Like a particular topic is given, we just split it to so many small components and then make the students understand the concept. So by assisting, by just adopting that, we can make the students understand the concept. Can I have the next slide, ma'am? The next one of the main principle will be motivation. So students are more likely to be motivated to learn when teachers communicate with them to ensure they understand what they are learning. Educators, as we, can accomplish this by identifying students' needs and interests. So maybe use this information to lay a foundation for teaching students, making the learning experience more engaging. Suppose if a student is doing something great, we can just motivate the students. Maybe if she is able to give the answer, we can just tell them, very good, you've just got a nice improvement. And the students who is very poor, poor in the sense is very average or below average in studying, we can just understand their problem, motivate them in such a way that the next test they improve within their own mark. A benchmark can be set up within themselves. Say, for example, in my classroom, I just appreciate the students who get first mark, say maybe 100 or 98. Suppose even I appreciate the students who just scored from 20 to 30. So that sort of appreciation will make the students to go to further level. Even students, they used to come and say, ma'am, it's because of you, we just would improve within ourselves. So I don't compare that particular student with other students. Rather, I compare her with her own marks, with the previous marks, with the previous test. So that this will kind of motivate the students to improve them further. So that is also one of the principles which can be adopted to just teach the students in the better way. And we use nowadays a lot of innovative approaches. Maybe we just go for ICT based teaching methods, like go for different quiz portals, or maybe go for different types of pedagogy, new pedagogies like ICT enabled pedagogies we use. So by mainly, we only think about these innovative approaches, but this can also be one of the approaches which will make the student engaged in the classroom. Rather, what I said, from even conducting a small game, making the big content into a small bits, it will all enable us to reach each and every student in the classroom. Excuse. So we have different approaches of pedagogy learning. The first approach, what is that we are going to talk today, will be constructivist. So maybe in this approach, the students are allowed to be present in the process of understanding and gaining knowledge rather than just passively receiving information. So this encourages critical thinking among the students and gives a learning environment in which they can connect with what they are hearing. To quote a better example, we can just give them some project work. So here, the student will be we just say some concept. Maybe I would say, rather say, this is how a kite is being built. But instead of just saying orally, I will ask the students to prepare that. This is a sort of project work what is given to the students. This is one of the examples I'm giving. So by just doing that, we can make the students understand rather than of just hearing. They just gain knowledge and they just critically think and do the process. So this will create an environment where they just connect it what they are hearing. If I just say that, see, there is going to be a concept, say, amalgamation of this, I'm just telling them that a company will be amalgamated. Say A company will be joined together with B company, and they'll be doing some process. I'm just giving them the information about what is amalgamation is all about. Rather, I will just give them an assignment or give them a project work to go find them the real amalgamated companies. I will also ask them to find out as to why that particular company is being amalgamated. So if that is the case, they will just go search as to why, what is the reason behind the amalgamation, what is the benefits that they derive out of it. So if they do by their own, they understand in real life as to how it is being carried over. So by just taking this particular approach, we can make the students understand more. The next approach will be collaborative approach. As the name says, collaborative, here the students will be formed, they have to form a group of learners that learn together and work to solve a problem. They build strategies, they build ideas, they create products or complete a task. This is a joint intellectual effort by the students among themselves, or maybe with the help of the teachers. So here, the previous one, we just give the project individually. So the students individually think about the concept, think about the idea, then come out with a clear understanding. But here, always instead of making the students doing individually, we can make them understand collaboratively. That will give more kind of motivation to the students. Always we talk about this peer learning. Peer learning will be possible or will be achieved with the help of this collaborative pedagogy. So here, maybe we can just give the real life problem, ask them to give a solution by forming groups. Say, for example, we just frame a group like in a class of 60, maybe we can just form 3 groups. Each group will be having 20 students. So to 20 students, I give them the real problem. Maybe they can just go to the college, the entire college, find out what are the problems which is existing inside the college, and then come out with a solution for that. So they'll be involved in so much, they will understand. Many times what happens, third year student, if I just ask them to go to the other building, they may not know as to where the building is situated. That is also happening in the classrooms. So it is not that we always teach them only the subjects. We also teach them the real life problems. So maybe they can just come out with a solution, or the second group can be given a task where they just go to outside college, go to a market, find out what is happening there. Maybe that can be used for the marketing subject. Like that, based on the subject, we can just group the students, ask them to do a collaborative work, and then come out with a solution. Even sometimes, rather than of just giving a solution, we can ask them to identify the problem itself. So that will kindle the students. When they do as a group, they will gain more knowledge. One students, we being always teaching, rather than of just we teach, if they just teach among themselves, they will gain a lot of knowledge than what we actually teach. So that can be done with the help of this collaborative approach. And the next approach is going to be integrative. Generally for the integrative approach, the students are given a learning environment that helps them in connecting with their learning across the syllabus. This is very, very important. We always focus towards the syllabus, but this is to be learned. The students have to learn across the syllabus. What is they have learned in one particular first semester, maybe they'll be able to connect it with the sixth semester. So to just quote it from the commerce background, first semester, if they just learn about one particular journal entry, when they just think about the journal entry, they will have to immediately be thinking about as to where it will appear in the ledger, where it will appear in the balance sheet, under what category it will be taken into account, what are the other effects which will have an impact because of this particular journal entry. Like that, they have to connect it. And when they go as an accountant in the company, they must be able to connect it with what they have learned in the real life problem. So when they face a problem as an accountant in the real life situation, they have to be able to connect it. They have to grab the content, what they have learned in the classroom. That is we have to make the students understand. So by doing that, they can achieve, like they can understand the process of learning, and they differentiate issues by relevance, and they also make use of the lessons in the practical scenario. That is very, very important. Associate the concept in the regular life. So by doing integrative approach, we are just creating a learning environment where they are able to connect things. If one particular thing is happening, what are the consequences? So that is how it has to be connected. Maybe I don't know how many of you have seen one movie called Tani Urvan by Jayam Ravi. Maybe if you know Tamil, you could have seen that film. In that he would say that in the first page of the newspaper, if there is a strike of lorry, maybe after 5 or 6 pages, there is a message where the vegetables rate has increased, or maybe the other products rate have increased. So there is a connectivity. There is a strike due to which the transportation lags, due to which the availability of the products in the local market is not possible. Then there is a demand for the product. So this is how they have to connect. So when we say one point, they have to integrate it with so many points. They're able to connect it or come out with a solution, or just able to remember or find out a solution for the practical problems, etc. So this method can also be adopted. Next will be reflective. So through this reflective approach, the students are expected to evaluate themselves. It means observing the activities of the students, teachers, and other students in the classroom, and analyzing what they do and how it works. So reflective in the sense, we just react. Say if suppose a student is crying in the classroom, the other student will observe as to why she is crying. The student is very happy, then they might have to connect it as to why it is happy. And if the teacher is giving some points, why that particular teacher is saying that point, they should not simply accept it. They will have to just reflect on it. So maybe if the student scores for giving the teacher scores for giving the wrong answer, the student has to ask as to why it is wrong. So they have to reflect, they have to react to the situation and then learn through that process. So that is also can be adopted by the teacher. The next will be inquiry-based learning. So in the inquiry-based learning, the educators are generally expected to not just answer the queries of the students, but also build a culture where their ideas are explored, challenged, improved, and refined. It aims to take the students from the position of wondering about a question as to understanding the answer and then questioning it further. So we always ask questions in the classroom. Maybe after the classroom or before the classroom as to have you all understood the concept, what is amalgamation or what is absorption or whatever the concept which you taught in the class, which is other students. Rather, we have to give space to the students to ask questions as to why that particular company is amalgamated, or what is the reason do you think. They have to ask the teacher as to some questions. So this sort of inquiry based learning will give more knowledge than that of we teachers asking questions. But generally we teachers don't prefer that. We only ask students questions. We don't let the students ask questions to us. So that practice should be changed. So this sort of inquiry based learning will let the student ask a lot of questions. And if we give chance to the student to ask questions, we have to prepare a lot. That is very difficult. So generally we don't allow that, but rare cases we also allow the student to ask questions in an opposite way as to we have to find the answer. Some classes it happens where we may not be in a position to give answers to the questions. So we say that, okay, we'll refer and tell. So the next day, without even forgetting, I just go tell the students as to what was the answer to the previous day's question. So these sort of learning will make not only the students learn the new concept, but also teachers, we as a lifelong learner, will make us also to understand the concept. So all these things will be very useful methodologies wherein we can just make the students understand the concept, so that we can involve each and every student in the classroom to understand the concept, and that in turn will make the students to use it in the real life situations. Wherever there is a problem comes or wherever they need a solution, they can make use of all these knowledge what we just transfer to the students. And the last one what we are going to see will be the types of pedagogy. So generally we have 4 types of pedagogy. The first one will be social pedagogy. Social pedagogy is very, very important types of pedagogy, as it is aimed towards the social development, awareness, and well-being of the students. The teaching must consist of values and moral education. Nowadays, we talk more about the values. So, giving values and making them understand about the social environment is very, very important. Maybe in a class, school level, of course, there is not going to be much of problems, as because they all have the uniform and no much problem exists. But when it comes to college, we have different sets of students. So we have to make them understand the different culture and different areas in which the people come. So that can be done with the help of making them participate in clubs. So we have, of course, every college has a lot of clubs. So by making them understand, making them participate in the clubs, we can make them understand the real environment of the society. Maybe suppose if there is NSS in the college or NCC, we can just take them to a particular villages, make them understand how the people are surrounded from different areas the people would have come. So we can just make them understand. And in foreign countries, mainly they focus towards social pedagogy. They make the students make the students involved in doing so. To just quote one better example with regard to the social pedagogy, in a classroom, a teacher, she just comes to the class and she asks the students to build a kite. And the kite, first day she asks the students to build a kite individually. So students are from different background, and some students know how to build a kite, and some students, they didn't know as to how to do that. Somehow they did it and they submitted. Second day when she came, she just made the class into groups. So in a group of 5, everybody together, the 5 members in a group together, they have to build a kite. The kite which is built on the second day was better than the first day. Third day, she made the 10 members to build a kite, and that was much better. The next day, what happened? She made the entire class to build a kite. So without any hesitation, the entire class stood together to just build a biggest kite. And nobody in the class had a doubt that they can build a kite or not. Everybody was involved. It is a real case what has happened. Everybody was involved and they all built a kite which is very bigger in nature and that could also fly. So that is how we make the students understand. So everyone in the classroom, though they are from different background, they've understood each and every one of them by doing this activity, and they had a confidence that if they work together, they can do anything. That sort of pedagogy to be adopted. That is how it can be done in the classroom. And the next one will be critical pedagogy. So this is mainly aiming towards comprehending and deconstructing several daily life problems and issues. So this sort of critical pedagogy will encourage the student to dig deeper into things and try to understand their thoughts and beliefs on a certain topic. Maybe if, for example, just say, assume in an English classroom, we're just giving them a novel and asking them to just read and comprehend and whatever they've just explain them to whatever they've understood. But instead of student just reading the book, understanding or accepting the fact, they have to ask or they have to question the fact. Say why this has happened. Suppose say the Taj Mahal was being built by Shah Jahan. They have to ask as to why they have built. what is the reason behind that. So like that, whenever there is a fact is given, we have to ask the fact itself as to why it has happened. Is that true? So what is the proof for that? That sort of critical thinking has to be evolved in the students. So the space has to be given by us. Instead of just asking them to read the book and ask the questions as ask them to give the answer to whatever is given in the book. Rather, we have to give a chance to them as to ask questions or challenge the fact, whatever is given. If that is done, they would think a lot than just rote learning. So that way we can avoid the rote learning among the students. And the last slide of my presentation will be culturally responsive pedagogy. So this sort of pedagogy will address the cultural diversity among the students. It helps to comprehend cultural differences among the students and increases awareness about cultural differences in the school, which means the teacher has to identify the cultural strength of the student, and they have to strive to nurture those strengths. Say, for example, if a student is from poor family, he or she may not be talking much in the class. So we have to understand the cultural strength of the students. Maybe one particular student is very good in writing, and or maybe one particular student is very good in oral, or maybe one particular student is very good in dance, or maybe we can just ask them to convey the points through the quality what they have got because of their cultural background. So maybe one student who is from village would be able to say in practically as to how to do the process of what is happening in the classroom, so that he or she can demonstrate in the classroom. So by doing so, the cultural background of that particular student will make them involved in the classroom. So that will give a kind of knowledge to the other students also. So this is how it has to be adopted. So we have to make, first as a teacher, we have to understand as to how the students culturally good, and what factor can be good factor can be taken from the students, and that by that doing that or kindling that, we can just make the student involved in the classroom and learn the concept. And finally, it is Socratic pedagogy. So we all know always Socrates has to always ask a lot of questions. This particular pedagogy has been emerged from that concept. It encourages students to gain more knowledge from other sources along with what is provided to them. So this will help the students to find alternative solution to the problems. Like if we just say one particular source of knowledge, if we just give it to them, they have to find out sources from different answers from different sources. So in a law class, what has happened? A lawyer, a teacher who is also a lawyer, has asked a law student to just take the points from a particular case. So when that concept is, when that was said to the student, you know what the law student did? He just asked as to, are you agreeing with that justice, whatever is given? So that was a question raised to the teacher. And the teacher was shocked as to, I just asked you to just identify the gist of the case and why you are asking a question like that. But the student repeatedly asked as to why that particular justice was given, why that particular verdict was given. What was the reason behind that? Did you find the answer to that? Are you really accepting the justice what is given to that particular criminal? So these are the questions what is raised by the student, and the lawyer was actually, he was made to think a lot. So that is how a student has to ask questions in the classroom, and that sort of space we have to provide to the students. So we should not simply ask a student to stop with one particular component or one particular material or one particular pedagogy. Rather, we have to make the students think in different way by adopting different types of pedagogical methods. So it doesn't stop with ICT alone. Rather, it should also be involved with a lot of even simple gamification, simple questions, simple activities in the classroom that can be adopted to make the students, every student involved in the classroom. So that way we can just include all the students in the classroom, and I'm sure that in the course of time, everyone in the classroom will be very much interested in learning the subject, and that will help them understand or make use of give some sort of solution to the real life problems. That's all from my side. I think I've just done, or maybe I've just given few points. All of you, I'm sure all of you would have already known about all these concepts, but maybe I've just kindled all these points, what is to be taken into account. I thank the college, Nagajyoti ma'am, and my dear friend Sujata for giving me this opportunity. Thank you all.
Any queries, participants? Anything more you want to discuss with ma'am? As we conclude the fourth day of a faculty development program on contemporary trends in commerce and management, teaching and research, I want to express a heartfelt appreciation to all of you. I'd like to extend my sincere gratitude to our esteemed expert, Dr. Gaumati, for the insightful session and valuable perspectives on the diversity and inclusion in pedagogy. Your expertise has been invaluable to us, and we deeply appreciate your time and dedication. I also want to thank all the participants for your active involvement, stimulating discussions, and enthusiasm throughout the session. Your presence has greatly enhanced our learning journey, and we commend your steadfast commitment to professional growth. A special acknowledgement goes to the organizing committee for the diligent efforts behind the scenes, ensuring the seamless execution of this FDP. Your hard work and dedication have not gone unnoticed, and we are truly grateful for your contributions. Thank you all. We request all to join with us for the fifth day of the FDP tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Wishing you all a pleasant evening. Thank you all. I remain.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you all.